Okay, welcome back. This is video number 2 for the third instruction sheet for finishing off the prototype. If you haven't yet done the first video from this instruction sheet, labeled number 10, exit and windscreens, then please go back and do that first because you won't be able to do this one without that one. Okay, so in this one, we're going to create a title screen and we're going to connect the title screen to the level and create the level to the windscreen and the windscreen back to the title screen so that we create a nice loop through that the player can deal with. And that's what we're used to having with video games, isn't it? So the first thing we need is a title screen. So we're not actually going to be doing much with our level this time, although the first thing we will do is rename our layout 1 to level. So if we just click on layout 1 and just rename that level, because the order in which the layouts are the order of that list is important, which I'll talk about in a moment. So to create a new layout, if you go to where it says layouts in the top right hand corner and click add layout, again, as I discussed in the previous video, we could add another event sheet, but again, we're not putting much on this new layout, so we'll just keep it to the original event sheet. So add layout only. And once again, we have a much bigger layout than we need, so we're going to change the size of this layout to match our viewport size. So we now have this layout called layout 1. Let's rename that to title screen. And whilst we're here, we're going to want to drag this title screen so it's first in the list. So you've got title screen, level, and windscreen. And the reason for that is when you export the game is going to bring up the first layout in that list. And so if we left the level as the first layout, then that would be the one that gets loaded first. We want the title screen to be the first layout, and then that'll take us to the level and take us to our windscreen. Okay, so let's click on our title screen and let's change the viewport size. Or the size of the layout, sorry, not the viewport size. We're using the viewport size, so it's 854 by 480. And there we go. We have our title screen. So we need to add a title. So let's double click and add a sprite font again. And we'll call this title. Click insert and click on the layout. Again, we get our sprite font. We don't need that, so let's close that. And let's make that black. Oops. And then we'll come down here to where it says text. And we're going to call it, so we're going to redo this title screen with nice graphics later on. So let's just call it Platformer Demo for now. Click OK. And put that roughly in the middle there. Okay, let's have another sprite font here. And let's call this controls and click insert. Again, we can close that. We'll make that black. And then just so we have something on the title of the screen, yeah, we'll enter some text here and let's just put our basic controls in, and then we can redo this as in an option screen or a separate screen later on. But if we call this movement equals A for left and D for right, oops, sorry, let me go back in there. Then keep pressing enter. So to press enter, if you want to leave a gap, hold shift and press enter. Jump equals space, and that's what we're going to use to jump. Then click Shift again and enter. And I'm just going to leave a brief instruction. What's the aim of the level? The aim of the level is to find the exit. For now, we might be adding an end condition a bit later on. Let's click OK. And then we need to make sure that that all fits correctly on there. And we'll put that reasonably in the middle. And again, doesn't have to look too fancy at the moment because this is a prototype. We're going to add graphics to it later on. Okay, one last thing that we need to add, and we've not used one of these before, we're going to add a button to this so that that'll take us through to our main level. So let's double click, not on the text there, double click on the layout. Scroll down until you find button, and let's call that start. Okay, if we click insert and click on your layout, and there you go, you get a button. Now we want to change the text on that button, so come over to the left hand side again where it says text, click on that, and let's just put start in there. Okay, so we're all set now. We have our title screen, we have our level, and we have our win screen. And what we're going to do is wire those up so that the player can go all the way through from start to finish. Now before we do that, we're going to get the player to click on these buttons with the mouse. So we need to add the mouse to the project. So double click on here. Let's go to mouse. So there we go. Click on that and click insert. And that's added the mouse to the project. Now we just need to wire this up. So let's go to our event sheet and let's click add event. So what we're basically saying is, if we click on the button start, click next, when it's clicked, and it'll know that the mouse is clicking on it, so on clicked, that's the event, add action, and we've already used this action once before. If we go to system, next, and scroll down, we can go to layout and click next. And we want to go to the level this time. So we're at the title screen, the player clicks the start button, and that'll take them to the level. So click done. Let's just have a quick test of that. So let's go to our title screen and click play. Okay, while that loads, click on the start. Okay, so that isn't working. So let's have a look at what's happening there. Why isn't that working for us? So on clicked, system, go to level. My layout is called level. I'm clicking on it. Interesting. Not sure what's happening there. So let's have another look. Let's click play again. And that still isn't working. System, go to level. Let's just have a look. I've put the right code in. On clicked. Yeah, that should work. Trigger when the button is clicked. Click next. System, go to level, and we have the level there. Ah, yes. So what's happening here is we chose when we created this new layout to not create a new event sheet. However, Construct doesn't automatically assign an event sheet then. So if we click on title screen up here and go over to the left, you'll see that where it says event sheet, it says none. So let's make that event sheet 1. And there you go, because that's our only event sheet. Now that's assigned to there. If we click play and try that out, that should work. And then we've got one last thing to do. And there you go. So we click on the start button and that takes us through to the level. So let's now attach a button to our win screen. So we have our title that goes through to the level. We have our level, and when we hit the exit, that takes us through to our win screen. Now we need the win screen to take us back to the title screen. So double click on that, click on button, and let's call this restart. Click insert And let's add that to the windscreen. Let's change the text to restart. And we'll add a little bit of code to there. So let's go to the event sheet. Now, what you could do, you can put that code again in, or what you could do is if you click the end here so it's all selected, click Control and C on your keyboard, and then Control and V, you'll get an exact duplicate of that code. And we just need to change a couple of things. So if we double click on Start, go back and click on Restart, and then click Next and Next. So now when we click Restart, if we double click on Level, we want that to go to Title Screen, and click Done. Now we need to do one last thing again, like we did with the title screen. If we go to the click on the windscreen layout over in the project, you'll notice again the event sheet has not been allocated here. So if we click on event sheet 1, that code will now associate with that button. So let's save that and let's test that from start to finish. So let's click on our title screen, because it will play whatever layout we've got highlighted now, because we've got 3 layouts. So when I click play, it'll start on the title screen. So when I click start, it takes me to the level. I need to find my way to the exit, and that takes me to the windscreen. And then when I click restart, that takes me back to the menu, the title screen. And there we go. So we now have, if we have enemies and collectibles and a character moving around, and we've arranged our platforms and made our level design, our level layout, we now have a functioning prototype, something that somebody can play from start to finish. All right, it's not polished with graphics and sound, and some of the mechanics might be a bit rough, but it's playable, and that's the main thing, because now it can be tested and we can start honing it to what's a fun experience. I'm going to do one more of these videos, and that's on win conditions. Now, these are optional things. Some people may want win conditions in, some people may not. So if you do want to explore win conditions, I'm going to do 2, amount of collectibles collected and amount of enemies killed. But if you've got an idea for another one, you can use variations of the code that I show you. So join me for that last video if you'd like to have a look at that. Otherwise, finish off your level design, and I look forward to playtesting your prototype. Thank you very much.